Our visit to Egypt started in the capital city of Cairo, and friends questioned beforehand the wisdom of traveling to the Middle East with the events in Palestine and Israel only a month old. But the security in Egypt is widespread and has been for decades. We always had an armed guard on the bus, and one walked with us when we visited the ancient sites. One of our first excursions was to the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, which is home to over 120,000 artifacts, including those recovered from the tomb of Tutankhamun. The artifacts help us understand a little of what life was like in ancient Egypt, from the decorative canopic jars which carried the internal organs of the pharaohs into the afterlife, to the many items found in their tombs. This statue represents King Khafre, who built the middle-sized pyramid at Giza around 2570 BC. While in Cairo, we had lunch at a hilltop restaurant with a hazy view of the pyramids of Giza in the distance. Using Cairo as our base for a few days, we stopped at the remains of Memphis, which was the first capital of ancient Egypt. Here we observed a statue of King Ramesses II, which was carved out of a single block of limestone. The Sphinx located here was carved during the 18th dynasty, but it is not known which pharaoh was being honored. We paid a visit to two side-by-side mosques in Cairo. The Imam of the Al-Rifai Mosque, which opened in 1912, consented to recite for us a call to prayer. One morning, we awoke at the ungodly hour of 4 a.m. to take a balloon ride near the Valley of the Kings. The weather was perfect as over 20 balloons took to the skies, giving us truly dramatic and scenic views of the landscape, definitely a highlight of the trip. On another day, we got to the Valley of the Kings early in the morning to beat the crowds and managed to do so. We had options on which tombs to visit and managed to visit 4 of them. Of course, the one must-see tomb was that of Tutankhamun, the boy king, whose intact tomb was discovered in 1922 by Howard Carter. The mummy of King Tut, as he is sometimes called, still remains in the tomb. The corridor leading to the tomb for Ramesses V and VI is long and still bears much of the original carving and coloring on the walls. It's amazing just how much intensive labor went into preparing the tombs for the pharaohs. Seven days of our journey were spent aboard a small ship designed to carry 75 passengers, although we were only 34. Views off the bow of the ship could be spectacular at sunset. And one morning we saw another group of tourists take to the skies in the same balloons we had used the day before. One night for dinner, we all dressed in a galabeya, the traditional loose-fitting Egyptian garment, for a fun-filled evening of food and dance. We found the Egyptian people to be very honest and friendly, especially the young ones who were always saying hello and asking our names. One time we stopped during a walkabout to have a chat with a young girl to learn more about her daily life. But our interactions weren't limited to the young. We had lunch at the home of a divorced Muslim woman who related to us the difficulty and stigma that comes with divorce in Egypt. She led us outside where she showed us how she made bread, which was then baked in an earthen oven. One of our members, with a little prodding, even decided to give it the old college try. The result wasn't half bad. One night when we were in Cairo, we spent the evening with a young couple and shared stories about ourselves and our lives. The avenue of the Sphinxes in Luxor stretches 1.7 miles and was originally lined with over 600 sphinxes. It connects two of Egypt's best-known temple complexes, those of Luxor and Karnak. Luxor Temple was built over hundreds of years by several pharaohs, including Amenhotep III, Ramesses II, and Tutankhamun. It was the largest and most significant religious center in ancient Egypt. The Karnak Temple is entered through two giant pylons, and the complex is the largest in the world, covering 1.2 square miles. It was started over 4,000 years ago and added onto by dozens of pharaohs. The hypostyle hall, which includes 134 giant sandstone columns, is large enough to accommodate the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. With the water level of the Nile River too low for the ship to travel, we boarded a bus for the 3-hour journey to Aswan in the south to view the magnificent site of Abu Simbel. The temple took about 20 years to build and was completed around the 24th year of the reign of Ramesses II, who ruled for 67 years. Threatened by the rising waters of the High Aswan Dam being built in the 1960s, nations around the world assisted in moving the temple to higher ground in 1968. Comprehending the massive size of the statues inside the temple is only possible when standing next to them. Next to the temple of Ramesses II is the one built for his wife, Nefertari, and the goddess Hathor. The temples had almost been covered by sand when they were rediscovered in the early 1800s. One of the last sights to see were the pyramids of Giza, standing tall on the outskirts of Cairo. The Great Pyramid of Giza is the largest and served as the tomb of the pharaoh Khufu over 4 centuries ago. It is the oldest of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. To this day, Egyptologists can only speculate as to the method the ancient Egyptians used to move the sandstone blocks needed to construct these monuments. Before leaving was a tourist must, a camel ride. There were 34 of us divided into 2 groups. Mo led the green group, while Riham was in charge of the yellow group. Our trip included much more, and here are a few images from the rest of our journey.